What we're going to be talking about today are the different spots that I have gone out to go pick up girls and the different places that I've tried out. And I wanted to try to tier them out for you so that you can spend your time in the places that will benefit you the most in terms of your results, one, and two, the amount of practice that you can get while going out. I honestly, there's no reason why you should never approach. So if you look at one of these spots, you're like, oh, that's not, I approach there all the time, I'm gonna stop approaching. Don't. Keep approaching, because the small actions lead to the big actions. If this is the only spot that you can approach at currently, or you think you can approach at, and honestly it's probably a self-lie, but I want you to build the ego, the mentality that I'm just that guy who's openly flirtatious and very authentic with my intentions. Not somebody that tries to hide it, not somebody that tries to be inauthentic or not be their real selves. You need to, if you feel something, you say it in one way or another. You're somebody that can express and give somebody a look, letting them know I'm this. Not trying to hide it, not trying to bottle it up, because when you start trying to bottle up emotions and feelings and self on the inside, that's when you start doing creepy, weird stuff. That's when you start becoming, again, creepy. So no matter what I say in this, if other than the D list, that one at the very bottom, other than that, if I say something about an area that you like approaching at, don't take it as a stake through the heart. Keep approaching there. Don't take it seriously. Don't take it literally. Anything above the D list, approach at. Don't take this as an excuse not to approach, because there's no excuse never to approach. There's no reason never to approach, other than D. Other than that, though, there's never a reason. So take this list with a grain of salt. Yes, this is fun to talk about. Yes, as it goes up in the tier list, the quality of the effort, the quality and quantity of the effort will go up. So as you go up in the list, the quality of the women will go up. The quality of your practice will go up. You'll improve a lot faster. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm a dating coach in terms of teaching guys how to be attractive women, and I'm a very big proponent of practice. I think that practice is huge. I think that anybody can learn to be attractive to women. I think anybody can with enough practice and intelligent effort over a long period of time. Given those two factors, you can get good at this. And I know that's something that mainstream doesn't really buy into, but it's something that I wholeheartedly believe, because I used to be the worst with women. I used to be the worst in the dumps, and I fixed it, and I completely 180'd my results. I went from being the worst to honestly probably one of the best in the world at this, and it's because I put in intelligent effort and a lot of effort. You can do it too. It's not impossible. Anybody can get good at this, and it's with enough intelligent effort. So when I look at this, when I bring up this list, it's two different factors I'm looking at. The first factor is, what is the quality of the effort? So how much practice can you get? Are you gonna creep girls out? Can you spoil a spot to where you can no longer go there and approach? Two, what is the quality of the women, and what are the chances of those quality women being into you? So that's the way I'm doing this list. So as it goes up higher, the quality and quantity of the effort goes up, and that's how I'm doing this list. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, make sure to like the video. And if you have any comments, or you have any concerns, or you disagree with something in the list, make sure to let me know in the comment section below. So with that being said, let's get into it.
Yeah, bitch, I got some buzzers clawing at my fucking stomach. I'm from the shadows, let the gallows.
All right, so number one, work. Yes, I do not like this one. This is actually the only one on the list that I will talk crap on, to be fair, and it's not even that bad. I get it. Some people, they don't have the balls to go out and go talk to a strange woman they never talked to. I get it. It's very scary. It's a lot of trauma if you walk up to a girl and it doesn't go according to plan. Now you're getting told that you're not enough by some girl that you found attractive, and your self-esteem plummets and drops. It's soul crushing, I get it. But if you're picking up girls from the workplace, it's all the way around stupid. If you're in a boss manager role, the girls will be more likely to like you, so that's an advantage. If you are going to be at work and trying to pick up girls, you should be trying to pick them up at jobs around you, not in your spot, not in the job you're working. When I actually did do something similar to this, I used to also pick up girls at work, and it was stupid of me to do because I could have risked losing my job. Two, if it did go bad and I didn't lose my job, it'd be awkward between me and the girl. And it's just, there's no growth from doing something like this. You are putting so much weight on the fact that the girl's gonna like you because this is your only avenue of getting women, is through this. So you're gonna be very needy with the women that you do end up dating from this. If you're gonna do something like this, you should not be picking up girls from your work. You should be picking up from areas around your work at best, but not at the work itself. That's just stupid and asinine, and it's gonna get you in a lot of trouble. Next one is cafes. So I honestly, like I said, from here on forward, all this stuff I like, it's just lower tier. There's not that many women that go to cafes. If you're gonna be hitting cafes, you gotta be going to a lot of them to get any practice or effort. And it's also a very quiet environment, so when you approach the girl, guess what happens? All eyes on you. You can pull this off in a very, if you do find a girl in a cafe and you want to approach her, definitely approach her. Don't be a wuss about it. But at the same time, when you're going up to talk to a girl in a cafe, you got to understand the chances of this working out are a lot lower than in other environments. And you also are not going to be able to isolate this and may become really good at cafes. Usually it just takes too much effort, too much practice. Workshops are such as yoga, such as deciding to go painting. So it's basically somewhere you pay to go to do a hobby of yours. Yes, there are girls in these places. Yes, you can go to yoga to go pick up a girl, but again, if it goes bad, the same way with work, you're gonna become the creepy guy in the spot. You can slowly work your way into it and make it to where the girls start fighting over you, yes. But there's not nearly the amount of practice that you can get to actually get good with women, to get good with the opposite sex, to build up your charisma. There's no way that this is gonna work out for you. It is better than work though, don't get me wrong, it definitely is better than work. It's something that you can build off of, but there's way better strategies than doing this. Parties. So this one right here, this one is actually similar to another one on the list that's a little bit higher up, and I'll explain why I consider them different. But parties is pretty good actually. If you can go to parties, there's the chance of something going well, the chance of you approaching a girl and going well are a lot higher than other environments. But at the same time, there's not that much in the way of practice you're going to get from going and approaching girls at parties. Not to mention there's a lot more people talking. So if you're not somebody that's good at this yet, and you're not very charismatic, you're not very witty, you're not fun, you're not free of outcome, you're going to become the creepy guy really fast. And that becomes difficult for a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys will go into the party scene and you guys will not have any social skills whatsoever and only go to parties. I know a lot of you guys that are in college will go to these parties, and you come to me and you say, I'm becoming that guy at college. Well, you should be practicing elsewhere. Parties, yes, you should go to parties, and yes, you should approach girls when you go to parties, but you should not make it your main bread and butter of approaching, for sure. Online. Now, this is something that a lot of you guys are not taking advantage of. Now, the cool thing about this is that it will build abundance. You're going to build a lot of abundance by working online. It's, at first, a lot of you guys are complaining that there's nothing good about online. For a long time, I actually hated online too. I would get nothing but unattractive girls into me, and then I started working on my online presence over the past year and a half, and now I do pretty good online. It's just something, it's a residual give and take. So as you go online and you work at it for a while, you will get a lot better at it, and the more that you invest into it, the better it will be. And then once it's set up, then it's residual. It's a stream of income. It's something you don't have to put any effort into once it's up and running. So it's a very good stream to get women, but there's not that much in the way of practice from here. The only thing that I found that I've been getting better at is messaging and texting. Otherwise, online is pretty piss poor in terms of getting better with your charisma, because all you're doing is you're crossing your fingers and hoping some girl logically likes you, logically finds you attractive. And then from there, you have to woo her via text message or whatnot, and you gotta get her on the date. But you're not gonna, again, this is not the amount of practice you need. Once it's set up, yes, you'll get abundance. Yes, you'll get more in the way of free of outcome with women, but otherwise it's not a good, it's piss poor in terms of building up the skill set that you need to get better with women. Raves, this is where it starts getting a lot better. Raves are a pretty good spot to pick up women. The only thing that I've always hated about this is the women are not always sober, and that can cause a lot of issues. And it's also not going to get you proper feedback from the world, because a lot of the women that come to these environments, they are blitzed out of their mind, and then you're coming up trying to say hi to them. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be 110% in your favor. I do think it's a good place to practice. I do think it's a good place to get in the reps. I do think the girls that go to these things are very gorgeous and very attractive. But there's not going to be the amount of practice you can get from the other things in this tier list. So when I come back to this, it's the quality of the women too. It's also the fact that the women that are going to these, there's not as many as there are in the other spots to practice and get what you need out there. Colleges. So Colleges, you can actually get a ton of reps in colleges. The girls that go to these places are very attractive oftentimes because they come from well-off backgrounds. They have parents that care about them, so they're usually pretty attractive. The only caveat to colleges is that people talk, and yes, they are in their own social circle. So if you hit it every day, and I used to do this where I'd go to one college, burn it to the ground, move to another college, burn it to the ground when I wasn't so good with the opposite sex, when I wasn't so charismatic. And I worked at it for a long time and I got a lot better. But initially I'd have to go from one college to the next because after a while, 1 in like 8 girls would recognize me, 1 in 5 girls would recognize me, and then I would have to go to another college and have to practice somewhere else. This is a great place to get women. It's a great place to get practice. But if you're not socially aware, socially calibrated enough yet, it's not somewhere that you're going to be able to practice at for a long time. It's not somewhere that is going to be easy for you. Now, again, if this is the only thing you have, definitely practice. There's no reason for me, so you should not look at this list and say, oh, this is my only thing I have going, and say, I can't practice. That's stupid. Definitely practice. If you want to approach in any of these spots other than maybe work, I totally 110% endorse it. There's no reason never to say hi to a girl. As long as you're empathetic and caring towards her, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to say hi. Now, that being said, colleges, there's better places to approach than colleges, and I'll get into those reasons why here in a second. Now, the last one in the A tier list is social circle. Social circle, you can get like extremely high quality girls with a lot less effort in a social circle. Usually the girls that are here, you can usually get girls 2 points hotter than you generally would get in a cold approach situation. That's why it's so great. Not to mention that when you have other girls that are fighting over you, can build pre-selection and you can get feeding frenzy going, and then you can cash out on the highest quality girl you possibly can. That's why I like social circle. Social circle is, again, so I have 3 different pillars that I pull girls from, 3 different streams of income. One is the online, one is social circle, and one is from cold approach. And cold approach is essential to be good at social circle. I know a lot of people try to skip steps and try to be good at social circle or online because it's easy. It's a lot easier than putting yourself out there again and again to possibly get rejected, because you're walking up to some random stranger trying to spark and create magic from nothing. So you're like, I'm going to skip steps and I'm just going to have either a social circle by itself, online by itself. And guess what happens? You're like, I don't understand why this isn't working. It's because you have no social ability, no social acuity. And the way you build it, the way that you become the alpha, the leader of your social circle, is by building that social acuity, that charisma, and by having abundance. And you're not going to have that if you're not practicing and hitting the drums. You have to work on your charisma. You can't just like go out the gate and expect to be really good at social circle. It's why there's 3 different pillars of this. And I'll say this, the amount of results I get from cold approach are insane. And for a long time, I never used online or social circle ever in any situation. I never used it, but it's very powerful. Now, again, this is really close to parties, and I almost want to put them in the same thing, but you can do social circle and parties separately. I had a girl that I was taking other girls home with for a while, and she had all these parties set up, and she would invite me out to these parties, and her and me would go try to pick up girls and whatnot. And it's not really my social circle, it's her situation, and we just go and crash parties. So that's why I kind of give them a little bit of difference. And not to mention, social circle is more like, in my head, social circle is more like, this is mine. These are my friends, this is my group, this is my crew, as opposed to like some party that you can crash. I used to go and I used to go and sneak into college parties all the time when I was younger. So it's just a little bit different in my head when I'm explaining both those things. Now, S tier, the very first one, is clubs. Now, you guys probably saw this on the thumbnail. Now, why do I think clubs are better than any of the things below? Because 1, anonymity. You can go and approach so many times and go back to back to back, and people in the clubs actually respect you for going and approaching sober. 2, when you go to the clubs, the girls are expecting to be picked up. The girls at the clubs are also high quality. They're not usually unattractive, but a lot of you guys are afraid to go to clubs because you're like, it's very loud. They can't even hear me. That's a BS excuse. I usually make the same excuse myself, and I get it. I understand. But if you're not taking advantage of clubs, not even necessarily for the quality of like the personalities, because there are high quality girls in clubs. I've heard that thing before, and that's not true. There's high quality girls that go to clubs. Surprise, surprise. High quality women go to clubs. But a lot of people want to try and make this argument that only like club rats go to clubs, and that's not the thing. You can get the most amount of practice, get the highest quality women, and you can get a lot of reps in. Like me and my friends, we hit the clubs every weekend to practice. We go probably about 4 to 5 times a week in Vegas. Probably more than that, to be fair, and we go out and we hone our craft. We will separate maybe a sticking point that I want to work on. I'll separate it and I'll hone it and I'll hammer into the ground until it's habitual. Then I move on to the next thing. And there's just so many reps you can get into a club. You go into a club, just go. And even after the club, you can hit the outflow of the club. Maybe you even hit the outside. Maybe you go and You socialize, maybe you go and work the tables. There's so many different angles, so many different things that you can use for a club to improve your skills. That's why I like it, and that's why I'm a fan of this. All right, if you're not using clubs, utilizing clubs, you're missing out massively. The streets. So this is just anywhere, and this depends too on where you're at. If you're in a small town, this is a different story for you. You're probably like, oh, this is not good for me. But if you live in New York, Vegas, LA, San Diego, if you live in, I don't know, any big major city, even like Austin, like the streets are the best. The streets are, you can go anywhere. There's anonymity. You're not going to get in trouble. You can go and approach again and again. You can find girls anywhere. You can go like find like so in New York, a lot of people go to Town Square. They'll go to Soho and they'll approach girls there. And I've seen, like, I've taken clients to the streets and had them pull in the day multiple times, take girls home. I've had incredible stories. My very first one night stand was from the streets in San Francisco. I went and messed around with this girl in a McDonald's bathroom. I know, not exactly the cleanest of places, but it was really cool to me. Somebody that's never done that before, and she was like the fourth girl I've ever been with, and it was insane. When I left, it was like everybody's high-fiving me. Like, the streets are incredible. It's like anonymity. You're not gonna get in trouble for approaching girls. I promise you're not gonna get in trouble. 2, you are getting so much mass practice, so much practice. As long as you're doing it, you're adding the quality of effort, which means sitting down, writing down field reports, thinking things through. How could I possibly get better? Is there a version of me that if I were to step into his shoes, he would do better than me? And if you're constantly doing that and you're going out and hitting it, adding the quality and quantity of efforts, you're going to do really good in the streets. And there's some people that specialize specifically for the streets. I think honestly, if you're getting into this for real, you should actually practice in all these spots. You should not have a spot where you're not being outgoing and loud and flirtatious. This is just, it's a part of being a man. You learn how to do this stuff. You learn how to work all these spots. There should not be a place where you don't feel comfortable talking to a girl. Now, again, work is the one where I would give that caveat to. I work for myself though, so that's not the case for me. But for those of you guys who work normal jobs, it just doesn't make sense. You're gonna honestly hurt your reputation, and you become the creepy guy that's gonna be uncomfortable for you at work. I don't suggest it. If you guys want to actually hit your work, the way I would suggest doing it is building pre-selection by bringing girls around your work a lot, or hitting on the girls around your spot. Again, building pre-selection, but don't hit on the girls at your work, like unless they hit on you first. Like, it's stupid. Now, in terms of all this stuff, the clubs and the streets are the best. Raves are pretty good. Colleges are good. Working your social circle, it's an essential. Like, if you're getting into this, work a social circle, build a social circle, have friends. You should also have friends that you aren't any which way flirtatious with, that you actually just honestly care about without them giving anything in return. I mean, authentically caring about them, being empathetic, not needing something from them, which I know is pretty difficult for a lot of you guys, because you guys are coming from this place of take. Some of you guys. And I know that you guys, that's also something hard for you guys to hear, because you aren't in abundance yet. You guys are having a hard time. You're grasping all the straws, I want the world. I want to fuck everything that walks. That's fine. But at some point you have to level up and you have to become altruistic, caring. And once you become that, what you're going to find is the girls, the quality of the women that you're messing around with that like you becomes a lot more, they become way more, the quality just skyrockets. The looks, the personality, it skyrockets. The second you start caring about them, not treating them like another number, not putting another notch on your belt. That's the big difference. You have to look at these girls. Yes, you can mess around with a girl that, when you're horny and you don't really plan on talking again, that's fine. As long as you're being authentic and upfront about it. But for the most part, it should not be your bread and butter. You should build boundaries and build standards and become altruistic and caring towards the women that you're going on talking to. If you can do that, I promise you this, all the spots I was talking about that was indicating might become creepy approaching at, you wouldn't even have an issue with becoming creepy there, because you're very caring and empathetic. The girls sense this other self underneath. The self is always coming through. And if you are this person, you're never going to come across creepy. Now, with that being said, peace.